Hey, what's happening, everyone? I'm SirJames coming at you guys with another video, and today I'm here to give you my review on the Vader's Vault Revanchist Lightsaber, thanks to my good friend Xander. Now, Xander's been collecting pretty much all the Vader Vault lightsaber hilts that is being offered, and relatively soon, eventually, I'm going to have every single hilt that they offer on their website reviewed on this channel, which is pretty cool, and that I get the opportunity to do so. So thank you once again, Xander. So like I said, this is the Revanchist Lightsaber. I already reviewed the other Revan Saber, but now we have to take a closer look at this one right here. This is the pretty cool and unique design where you got the 3 spikes that stick out on the very top, and this is one of those hilts that, for one, is extremely popular on the website, and two, usually the common question that I see in regards to this hilt is whether or not is this a comfortable lightsaber to actually wield, or is it uncomfortable just because of the way the design is. So let me try to showcase. There's a lot of chrome finish to it, so my camera may not pick it up the best. Usually when there's a lot of chrome, my camera tends to freak out ever so little. Now don't worry, once we power this up, this will actually light up with a red LED, as this is a 2-button setup, and the 2 buttons are located on the front here. Usually a lot of the Vader Vault lightsabers will have 1 button in the front and a 1 button in the back, but in this case, both buttons are right here on the front in general. And typically with a Vader's Vault lightsaber, you would disconnect it towards the middle, remove the bottom sleeve to have access to the chassis, but because of the unique nature of this design, the way this one works is that you would have to unscrew the pommel here and to get access to your chassis. If your chassis doesn't pop up, sometimes you may just have to do a little tap here to remove it. Now, do note here, if you've never owned this kind of lightsaber before, or if you're not familiar with Vader's Vault, one of the things that you do not want to do, especially for this one, is to yank out the chassis entirely, because you will pull the wires and you can mess up your lightsaber. But basically, the ideal situation here is to pull this ever so much to the point where you want to unscrew the speaker here just enough to where you can go ahead and remove the battery. Now, of course, when you remove the battery located right up inside the chassis, you'll need some tweezers. I recommend tweezers with a rubber tab on them to get access to that SD card if you want to go ahead and throw in some extra fonts on there, and just let the chassis fall into place naturally, and of course screw in the pommel. And it's a pretty simple setup. I didn't really have any issues with this one, so if you guys were ever kind of curious how do you access that, well, that's what you do. Now, as always, if you're unfamiliar with Vader's Vaults, any of the lightsaber designs that they offer on their website will come with one exclusive saber font that you can only get with that hilt. And also, when you do make your purchase, so whether it's this one or other hilts from their website, they do have plenty of options to mess with. This one is not as customized as some of the other hilts that Xander tends to get. This one's more of the same design element, nothing really added to it. The only main thing here is for the blade setup, it's got the NeoPixel setup, and that's pretty much about it. But if you wanted to, you can do heat bluing, you can get weathering, with a few different tier options. So there's a few ways to customize this one. If I was getting it personally, I would have it probably with a medium weathering to it, just because, again, I like weathered up lightsabers. What can I say? And also, too, if you do get this with the NeoPixel option, you actually do get a NeoPixel blade plug, by the way. So let me go ahead and boot this on, like so. Revanchist. So that's going to be the exclusive font that we're going to start off with. But as I mentioned before, you do have the light up LED right there on the front, and this is going to be your main activation, and this is going to be your secondary button. And this is the show. Simple as that. So let's go ahead and insert a blade. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a closer look at the blade plug, which is pretty cool. I like the fact that the blade plug, when you have it in there, completes the look of the saber. But of course, if you want to insert a blade, you're going to have to remove this. But here is what the blade plug looks like. So there's the top portion, and there's the NeoPixel setup there on the bottom. Just a simple thing to do. You just pop it in there, push it down a little bit, and tighten the screw, and you're good to go. But if you want to use your blade, you're just going to go ahead and remove that, insert your blade. As always, I'm using a little bit of a shorter blade for the situation that I'm recording in, but by default, you do get a nice NeoPixel blade from Vader's Vaults. at, I believe it was 32, 34 inches. Go ahead and turn this light off. Make sure I have it. Oh. And of course, if you don't put your NeoPixel blade down all the way, you can have an issue like I just did right now. As you can see, the blade's not lit. That's because the connector of the blade, along with the in-help connector, are not attached. Now it is. So now when I press the button, it's properly lit. So if you ever have that issue, you just got to make sure your blade's slid in all the way. Actually, I think it's kind of good that happened that way, just so I can demonstrate that. So let's go ahead and start with the exclusive sound font that only comes with this help, meaning that you can't go to any website to purchase it. You can only get it by getting this help. So here we go. Now, some of you might be saying, is the help actually comfortable to wield, or is it uncomfortable just because of the design layout? And it's actually comfortable, in my opinion. That's because, again, it may look odd to hold, but if you think about it, when this comes down, you have a little dip in here on all three sides, which means that when you have your hand holding right here, it actually feels extremely comfortable. And the only real proper way of holding it is specifically right here. If I was holding it towards the top here, then this would feel a lot awkward for sure. But if I hold it down here, where these areas pivot downward, again, it's very comfortable and I don't really have any complaints. And you can easily swing it around with ease without having any difficulties whatsoever. Let's go ahead and bring the blade back on. Now, of course, by pressing the secondary button, it will activate any form of blaster effects. If you hold down that second button, you go into that static clashing motion too. By pressing the power button again, you go ahead and deactivate, pressing it again, like so. If you press the bottom and the top, you go into the color cycle mode, so you can go ahead and change to whatever color you want. Once you find a color that you like, so let's go ahead and let's do green. So if you hold down the power, like so,
Blade profiles.
you go into a blade profile. Blade profile will allow you to cycle through some of the different effects here. Some of the effects may not pop up clearly on camera, but you just kind of rotate it in a clockwise. Like for example, here you got your RGB blade. Some of these have effects, some of them do like color swaps, but you can kind of play around with it and see what works best for you. Then when you find something that you like, you just push the power button, lock it into place, and that blade is going to remain whatever effect that you want to be, and you just cycle through the same option to go ahead and change it. Now, if you want to switch the font, you hold down that second button.
Soundbank selection.
Revenge.
I'm going to go ahead and press it down.
Are you a Jedi? I am.
And then hold down. That was weird. I don't know why you did that one. So this one is actually a new font that I haven't showcased here on the channel. This one is actually called The Rescue by Kasith. So, of course, it's featuring Luke Skywalker from within The Mandalorian. And before you start calling out spoilers, the show's been over for a while now for Season 2, just saying. If you wanted to activate any form of force or quotes, you basically press the button and do a clash at the same time. And that's what I'll do. Now, what's nice about that font package too, by the way, is that there are additional quotes and music files that you can go ahead and play with. And I have a pretty nice setup with my Profi one, and I'm actually waiting for this new update to come out. But again, you can still add that stuff to the CFX if you wanted to mess around and change a few things. Next up,
Soundbank selection.
How are you?
This party's over.
So I figured I'd have Mace Windu in here. Now this one's a little bit more of a pink colored blade. I couldn't get a right purple going on, so I just thought I kind of threw in a random color here. So it's definitely a little bit more awkward with this one when I'm doing the whole flip thing and then catching it, just because I kind of have to get used to the feeling of this hilt versus some of the other ones, which are a little bit more of a smoother finish. Switching to the next one.
Soundbank selection.
This party. You can never see me.
So this one is Starkiller font. Now, whatever reason, this particular font package that I have, some of the quotes aren't working correctly, so I have to kind of look into that one. So, for example, when I do this one, it's not really doing what it's supposed to be doing. So, this folder has a little bit of an issue, or just needs to be a little updated for the files. But everything works on this one.
Soundbank selection.
You can Savage.
I personally like Savage Saber font as well. And then I believe I have one more on here.
Soundbank selection.
Savage.
This is General Kenobi. Surely we can be civilized about this. You can't win.
Now that one's got a pre on. Now I will quote that the ones that I'm showcasing after the Revanchist font are ones that I added on here. You do get some basic fonts to start off by default, including the exclusive one, but you know, everything else that you would have to add, and of course support the creators, because some companies that you go with may include a bunch of Saber fonts because maybe they got deals or something like that, and other companies like Vader's Vault, for example, just will have a little bit more of a default package, and then you can add on to it, which CFX, again, as general, is a pretty easy to learn board. Is one of the first ones I was introduced to, and it's very simple to add a Saber font onto this one versus sometimes dealing with frustrations in regards to a Profi if you don't understand that one.
Easy. Easy. This is the last time Cody takes a day off. I have a bad feeling about this. Let negotiations begin.
So, wanted to get to say that one.
There's never time to limber up.
There's always time to liver up. So anyways, that is the Vader's Vault Revanchist Lightsaber. In general, it's a very nice hilt in comparison, once again, to Ultimate Works. The hilt, in general, has a little bit more of a higher quality build to it. But again, it's all about which company you want to go with. Maybe you want to save a little bit more, so maybe Ultimate Works is your option. But if you really want to look into those extra customization options, then you can't go wrong with Vader's Vault. Do keep in mind that if you've never ordered from Vader's Vault, it is a little bit of a lengthy time frame of when you're going to get your hilt. It may be 6 to 7 months or 8 months, give or take. When I waited for mine, it was about 7.5 or 8.5 months, give or take. So kind of note there, it's a longer waiting period. But if you really want something fancy and you really want to go all out with it, then again, I'm pretty sure you'll be satisfied. And it's CFX, so it should be easy for you to learn nonetheless. But let me know what you guys think about this particular hill in the comment section down below. And actually, before you go, what do you think in general about Darth Revan, or what do you like about the character? Let me know in the comment section down below. Until then, I'm SirJames, and I'll see you guys next time. But once again, may the Force be with you.